Good evening. This is a quick head, heart, and hand work. As a crafter and a needleworker and a knitter and doing all this fun stuff, this is one of the best weekends ever. Not only is it Stitches West, which is for the knitters down in Sacramento, which I don't get to go to, but it's also Nashville weekend for the Stitchers, which is the wholesale thing where all the shops get together and all the designers get together in Nashville and they release all their new designs. So Instagram is just filled with all these pictures of, at least my Instagram, filled with all these pictures of yarn and projects and designs in Sacramento. And I haven't seen anything interesting yet out of Nashville, but you're seeing pictures of different designers setting up their rooms and getting ready because it starts tomorrow. So it's going to be a great weekend. Third time's the charm. People keep calling me. Anyways, so I did it again. So I have repetitive strain injuries in my hands, my elbows, and my shoulders. And every once in a while, especially since I've been on sabbatical, I overwork my muscles and those strain injuries to that they say, hey, knock that crap out. And I haven't been able to stitch or knit or do any kind of handwork since the 4th, which is Saturday. It hurt. It sucks. But it's better. I went to the massage therapist today and she worked on it. She got out the hot rocks and she cupped me. So between the two, she's like, yeah, you're like messed up. I'm like, thanks. So I'm hoping it'll calm down. So I'll do an update tomorrow. And because I did get something accomplished before my shoulder went nuts. So, yeah. So I hope everyone's having a great day. And I will see you all later. Happy making. Good afternoon. This is a head, heart, and handwork post. So I've been injured. Like I said yesterday, I've been injured most of this week. I've irritated a repetitive strain injury. Went to the massage therapist and I'm feeling a lot better, but it still hurts a lot. So I haven't been getting a whole lot of work done. That being said, I have finished. Dun, 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 dun. Yay. So I was working on this last week and I literally just needed to put the date and my initials. I'm done with this. I'm so happy. The cool thing about having a finish is that means I have a start. See, I've got 4 stitching projects and that's enough. If I get any more than that, I get a feeling overwhelmed. So I work with 4 in a rotation. So this is my new start. It's really not much to look at, but there we go. There's the beginning. That's about 2 hours worth of work. Now, this is Autumn Lane's Dark Queen of the Earth. It's a stitch along that's going on right now. This is a part 1. They just released part 7 last week. Let me show you a picture where it's at in the stitch along. Isn't this gorgeous? I also have the Dark Queen of the Sea, but this one came out this year and I'm like, I need to stitch this too. I'm very thrilled to see there's my little Amanita mushies because, hey, I love them. So needless to say, I got a ways to go on that. Other things I've done this week. Let's see, I cut out 2 patterns, traced and cut out 2 patterns. I had a t-shirt I really liked. I've worn it out. It fit really well. So I cut up the pieces along the seams, traced them on a pattern paper, and now I have a pattern. And then I traced out a pattern for a dress I've been wanting to sew for myself. So I got that done, which is a lot easier on my body than doing needlework, which tends to be light down here and my, and brings in my shoulders. Whereas doing the pattern tracing and the pattern making, tends to be more body because I'm moving around a table and moving things around and it's more full body movement. So it's a little less painful. I don't have anything to report with my knitting because I realized the last couple of rows I did, I made a big mistake. So the only thing I managed this week was to rip it out. But I did, however, start another sock that matched the one I finished. So, not a lot this week, but considering how much pain I've been in and fatigue, I got hit with post-COVID fatigue again. I'm going to take it. Progress is the idea, not perfection. So I hope you all have a great week and happy making.
cross stitch, I need you to tell me, be real with me. Like, what do I need?
Okay, this is a question for me. So I've been doing kind of cross stitch since 1988, and that was a long time ago, and I don't even want to do the math to figure out how many years that is. So here's my things that I think you absolutely. All right, here's my layer. This is where I sit to do almost all of my handwork, including kind of cross stitch. And the number one thing that you absolutely need is a really good light. Now, this is a specialized lamp for my seasonal affective disorder, but as you can see, it is really freaking bright. And that makes it very easy to do pretty much anything. This is my new portable light toy that I like very much. It has a built-in magnifier. This thing you can actually plug in. There's a USB plug in the base. You can charge it so that it has a battery, so you can just be off-grid with it. Super bright light, really good for going out into the wild to stitch. The other thing for me, because, hey, I'm in my 50s and my eyesight's going, I have dedicated stitching glasses. These help so much, especially with the higher counts. For me, that qualifies as 32 count linen. Other things that I think are positively, you absolutely need. You need some really good scissors. This was a freebie from a stitching retreat I went to. You need a really good needle threader. Loran sells them. You can get them at your needlework store or Michael's. They're like $3, or you can buy a bag of 50 of them for $50. I photocopy my charts so I can mark them up with an erasable pen. This thing erases. So if I make a mistake in my stitching, I can erase it off my chart. Very useful. Now, this is a music stand. I use it as a chart holder. I've added these little hooks. Is this necessary? Absolutely not. Has it been useful? Incredibly. I have a music stand because I have kids and they were taking music, and then nobody was taking music, and I had this leftover music stand. And one day I went, hey, I wonder if I could use it as a chart holder. The answer is yes. Yes, I can. And I love it because I can put it at eye level on my chair, and it has a little ledge to hold my pens or anything else I need to store up there. Now, if you're looking to splurge, you can buy something like this. This is a stitching stand. I do not use this thing very much. I have one project in it, and once I'm done with it, I'm getting rid of it. This was a splurge. It was custom made for me over 20 years ago and cost $1,000. And $1,000 is a big investment. And so you really want to think about, are you going to continue to use that and get all your money? And that's basically all you really need, I think, in my opinion. You're miscounting. That's just the way it goes. You'll learn as you do more, and it'll get easier. And I hope you enjoy your crafting time. Happy stitching, and welcome to the club.
Don't ask me why, but I decided I wanted to try and learn how to cross stitch.
Yay! One of us! One of us! So I've been doing cross stitch since 1988, needlework since 1977. I've been doing needlework for a very long time. And I remember that first time I'd see the cross stitch. I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. I can't do it. But congratulations for taking a leap and trying something new, because always that first time is the part that makes us all nervous. So, couple of things. Backs do not have to be neat. That whole idea is left over from Victorians, because Victorians liked to have everything oh so perfect and pretty. It's the back. Nobody's ever gonna see it. Now, the only thing I would warn against is knots. Don't put any knots in. And doing lawn travels. So as long as you bury your threads, don't stress about it. Nobody's back is neat. I will, however, make one comment over what I saw. I saw that you had a chart, yay, and you were using a pen to mark it off, yay. Always make a photocopy as your working copy, so that if you royally screw it up, you still have your untouched original from the pattern. That's a big piece of advice. And the other piece of advice, this is a friction pen. It's erasable. So if you make a mistake in your work and you marked it off on your chart, you can rub it out. I love these. This has been one of the bestest things that have come across for my, needleworking world, that I can actually erase the mistake, because I've been using pencils for years, but pencil's really hard to see. So this is a huge improvement, and they come in lots of pretty colors. My favorite color is purple, so I always use purple. So welcome to the club. If you're looking for more people, go check your local needlework store and see if they have any open stitches, and check to see if you have a local chapter of the Embroiderers Guild of America. They do a lot, and there's a lot of clubs, and you'll learn so much from people there. How to do things. You get to try new things. You'll introduce you to more different types of needlework. I remember the first night I went there, and I learned a tip within the first 5 minutes that just changed everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Thank you. It was someone who had been doing cross stitch and embroidery for 50 years. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. Look at that. Ooh. Life goals.
Do you buy like one big piece and cut pieces?
Prepare to jump down the rabbit hole. So a quick answer to the question is both. Sometimes you just build your stash, and sometimes you want a very specific piece of fabric, and you can order it from the people who custom dye them to your exact size need. It's very cool this way. Check this out. Okay, this is my only box of fabric, and at one point in time I belonged to a subscription service, which means that every month I got fabric to show up in the mail to build your stash. Now there's lots of them where you can get really pretty colored fabrics, so you can do things like, let me show you. This is one I just washed. Okay, it's ugly because I need to iron it, but check out the pretty purple. It'll look a lot better when it's ironed. Check out that piece of cross-stitch fabric. Do I have anything to stitch for this yet? Any pattern? Any idea? Absolutely not! It's just sitting in my stash, so when the day comes when I find the perfect pattern for it, I've got the fabric. Then I gotta go find the perfect threads. So what's nice about these is it's got a tag on it, tells me where this came from. So this is from Mystic Fabrics, the name of it, the count. So this is a 28 count linen, and how big the piece is. And I've got littler pieces of fabrics. I have 1 yard hunks in here, like this one. This is this is a 1 yard cut. And I had been planning, I don't know what, I think I was on clearance, so I just bought it because it's a nice color. A nice neutral color to do my cross stitch on. And I went to fold it back up, and I found I've already cut a hunk out of it. So yeah, I have a big piece of fabric, and I just cut a hunk off of it. Now you may be going, Jen, what is this linen stuff? There's generally two types of cross-stitch fabric. One is generally, actually three. There's Aida, which is the stuff that comes in the kits. It's usually intended for beginners, but anybody can use it for any kind of project. Me personally, I don't like stitching on it, and I haven't in decades. That's okay. There are people who spend their entire cross-stitching life just stitching on Aida, and that's okay. I went from there to even weave, which the threads are the same thickness. And then I moved on to linen. Now, the fun thing about linen is that it's uneven. So some can be thick, some can be fat. It's just your preference. So have fun with the fabric. Oh yeah, and just wait until we get the discussions on fiber. That's an even bigger rabbit hole, trust me.
So your significant other is a crafter. Well, I'm going to teach you a few things you're going to...
Just a thought. Maybe you want to pick up one of their crafts as your own? After being together for 27 years. My husband knits. He knits stuff for me. It's so awesome. And he knits stuff that I wouldn't even attempt. The stuff this man does is insane, in my opinion. But I have to say, it's really awesome having a crafting buddy in the house.
Super embarrassing to wear these, but if we want to crochet...
Okay, just a quick PSA. Those compression gloves are awesome, but honestly, listen to your body. Repetitive strain injuries in all of our crafting is not a joke. I had carpal tunnel diagnosed when I was 24, had surgery. And it has messed me up. In fact, I just spent a week doing no crafting because I overdid it because of a repetitive strain injury. So listen, if it hurts, take breaks. Your body is communicating to you. I know we all just want to sit around and knit and stitch and crochet and do all that, but it's compression gloves are awesome, but take breaks. Take breaks. Seriously, you want your body to last so that you can crochet as a grandma. So, if you're a habitual crafter and collector of crafting supplies like me, and have the squirrel mind of the, ooh, shiny, I gotta try this new thing, you probably have a lot of half-assed finished projects lying around all over the place. So, what's a person supposed to do? Now, a lot of people have the idea of, especially in the cross-stitching world, this idea of a rotations. Like, I work on this project this week, and then I work on this project in this week, and this project this week. And so they kind of get a little bit of work on everything. Some people have designated days. There's lots of different challenges out there for people to get motivated and get their work done. I'm always impressed by the monogamous people, those people who pick one project and that's the only project they work on until it's done, and then they pick another project. Me, I would be so bored. So I thought I would do a quick video and share what has been the most successful for me trying to make sure I get my projects done in years. Now, it's called a whip go. It's this idea of using some management system to get through your WIPs, which is an acronym that means works in progress. You know, those things have been sitting around forever. Like my oldest one right now, I started when my oldest, who will be 20 in March, I started that when I was pregnant. I'm almost done. Swear. Really close now. And you create a bingo board with them. So I'd heard about it, didn't really do a lot of research. It was apparently started, the idea, by somebody named Jesse Does Stuff or Jesse Makes Stuff over on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, both. And for me, I don't do anything the way anybody else does it. No, I always got to put my own spin on it to make it work for me. And you know what? That's okay. If someone has a tool or an idea, make it work for you. Like I've been using bullet journaling for years, but I put my own twist on it so that it works for me and not necessarily the next person. So let me show you what my 2022 whip go looked like. I'm going to make me teeny tiny. So as you can see, this was 2022. I came up with 24 projects that I wanted to do over the year of 2022, but this wasn't the only one I did. To keep that interest going, I made one for every single month. Here's January's. So in those monthly ones, I would take that bigger project and break it down to a smaller task, like one motif, one row, 1 hour, so that it was doable. So I think this is progress. It's called chunking. You break things down to smaller chunks. And I found it to be really successful, as you can see from the mostly completed whip go for 2022. And I've started again for 2023, and I'm looking forward to it. Have a happy crafting. Nah, I messed up somewhere. I hate that. Good morning, everybody. This is a head, heart, and handwork. And this is going to be a little bit of discussion about fiber. Now, in lots of different crafts like knitting and stitching, we are working with different types of fiber. In the knitting world, we tend to work with a few bit more. Not only are we working with sheep, but alpaca, buffalo, silk, cotton, linen, and all sorts of other types of fibers. Now, there's an idea that most fibers have an idea in common, or a factor in common. Sorry, I got a little bit of COVID brain. I'm a little fuzzy. So they all have these, you go to these, either it's a sheep or a cotton boll, these teeny tiny fibers. And what we do is we spin them together. Now, some of them have a very short staple, which means when you pull it off the plant or the animal, it can be very short. Like cotton is like 1 to 2 inches, whereas some sheeps and alpaca, they can be 5 to 6 inches. Cotton, which is what a lot of us use for our stitching, tends to be either short staple, 1 to 2 inches, or long staple, which is like maybe 3 inches. So what does this have to do with our threads? So when we pull our threads out of our skein of floss, all the fibers have been laid all in one direction so that they lay smooth. And if you're using DMC, it's got a little bit of a shine to it. If you're using silk, it has even more shine to it, which is what makes it look so lovely. Now, I'm bringing up this topic because I've been watching a lot of Stitch Talk lately, and I'm noticing a lot of my other stitching and cross-stitch enthusiasts making choices to do things with their fibers that are detrimental to not only what they're stitching with, but their final product. Now, I do not want to gatekeep. In all cases, you do you. If it works for you, fine, cool, go with it. But I also have an idea of that if you're making a choice to do something on a technical level, you should know what you're doing, why you're doing it, rather than just, this is the way I was taught, or I thought this was a cool idea, because many of these things have an effect on what you're working with. So I guess this is coming down to, this is a first in a series of practices that I'm seeing and why you may or may not choose to continue doing them, because now that you know the effect it has. So this is kind of an open discussion. Feel free to ask questions. And again, I don't want to gatekeep, you do you, but I also believe on a technical level, everyone should have the information of what's going on. I hope you have a great day and happy making. Good morning. This is a head, heart, and handwork. This is kind of the second part of a floss and fiber discussion. Yes, I'm in a different location from the first one. That's okay. So what I was talking about in the first video has the idea of making informed choices of how you do your stitching. So what I wanted to do was let's take a closer look, a much closer look at what your fiber looks like. So let me get a picture. Okay, so this is a couple of strands of floss. Now granted, this is silk floss, is what I had on hand when I took the picture. So if you look really closely, like get really close, you can see that each strand is made up of 2 strands that are twisted together. It's 2 piles that have been spun together. That's what gives the fiber strength. When you do just a single ply, it's a weaker thing and it can pull apart. We know this from knitting. If any of us have ever tried working with Lopi or with a single ply, it's not as strong. Plying creates strength, and we really want that with our needlework. So let's take a look at a piece, that same floss, after it's been stitched on a little bit. Okay, so look to my left. And you can see on the floss, there's a couple of little fibers sticking out of that. We don't want that in needlework. So what happens is as we stitch, as the fiber is going down through the fabric and up through the fabric, and as the needle moves back and forth, it roughens it up. It makes it hairy, it adds a halo. Love it in knitting, we don't like it in needlework. What happens is it makes the crispness of your stitches go away. They get fuzzy. And so this is an argument for cutting your length short, that 12 to 18 inches that's generally recommended. It's just, we don't want that. It ends up just looking bad. This is what the floss looks like where the needle was sitting. It's really torn up. It's super fuzzy. There's lots of little things off of it. It does not look good. So this is what happens to your floss when you have the needle like in the middle. It's going all the stress with the eye. So you don't want to do a long length, like a 24-inch, fold it in half, and then keep stitching with that. You really want to keep your tail super short. I keep tails on my stitching 1 inch long. I just pinch the eye because I want the fiber to look good as long as possible while I'm stitching and creating my project. So there's going to be another part. So happy making.